Today, we're tackling something huge, a transformation that's quietly changing everything about our relationship with money. It's called the Great Financial Unbundling. So let's kick things off with a big question, a really important one. What if your bank wasn't a physical place you had to go to, but was just something you do seamlessly in your everyday life? Keep that idea in your head because it's at the very heart of this revolution.
Okay, so to really get where all this is headed, we've got to look back at where it all started. For decades, the financial world was, well, a kingdom, and it was ruled by one model, the big traditional do-it-all bank.
You see, the old system was like a straight line, a pipeline where the bank controlled every single step. They gathered your deposits, used that money to create products like loans, sold them to you through their branches, and then serviced them through call centers. It was a completely closed loop. Now that gave banks incredible power, but it also made them incredibly slow.
Now, don't get me wrong, this model had its perks. I mean, you had stability, you had trust, but, and this is a big but, it all came at a price. We're talking ancient crippling technology, super high cost to run everything, and a whole lot of bureaucracy. And all of that meant the customer experience? It was usually pretty terrible, and that created the perfect opening for a new wave of challengers.
Okay, and this is where the story really gets interesting. A whole new breed of companies came along, and their goal wasn't to build a new bank from scratch. No, their strategy was to unbundle the bank, to take it apart one service at a time. It was a surgical strike.
So these fintechs didn't just march up to the front door of the banks and declare war. Their strategy was way smarter. They targeted the most profitable, most frustrating parts of banking. Think about it. Payments were slow and expensive, so along came PayPal and Wise to make them fast and cheap. Getting a small loan was a pain, so Klarna and Affirm put lending right at the checkout with buy now, pay later. Investing felt complicated, so robo-advisors automated it. Insurance was a one-size-fits-all nightmare, so InsurTech used data to personalize it. Each one was a precision attack.
The key word here is surgical. The goal wasn't to build a brand new bank from the ground up, at least not at first. It was to find the most profitable and maybe the most annoying parts of banking and just do them way, way better with digital-first solutions that people actually wanted to use. And this was just the start.
So what happens when you start pulling a bank apart like this? Well, you don't just get a bunch of new companies. You get a whole new financial ecosystem. It's complex, it's a little messy, and it is absolutely fascinating. Let's meet the new players on the field.
And in this new ecosystem, we have a whole new cast of characters. You've got your original fintech disruptors, of course, many of whom are now major companies. But now look who else is at the table. The titans of big tech, Apple and Google, are embedding finance right into their platforms. Then you have the infrastructure providers, the folks selling the picks and shovels like cloud services and APIs that make all of this possible. And crucially, you have regulators and central banks who are no longer just watching from the sidelines. They're in the game, actively writing the new rules.
And here's what's really wild about this new world. It looks all fragmented and spread out, right, with thousands of startups. But the power? Oh, the power is incredibly concentrated. Get this, just 100 of these fintechs are pulling in a whopping 60% of all the industry's revenue. That's a serious concentration of power.
And we're not talking about a slow, gradual shift here. We are talking about lightning speed. In 2024, fintech revenues shot up by 21%. 21. Now compare that to the traditional guys who grew at 6%. That's more than 3.5 times faster. This isn't evolution, it's a full-on revolution.
So when you have that kind of explosive growth, it's going to shake things up. And that's exactly what's happened. It's triggered a massive power shift, completely realigning who calls the shots and where the real value is being created in the financial world. So how is this power shift actually playing out? Well, we can break it down into 4 key movements. First, power shifting from the old incumbents to the new challengers. Second, it's moving from isolated institutions to interconnected platforms. Third, central banks are taking back control of core infrastructure, like payment systems. And maybe the biggest shift of all, power is moving away from just having capital to mastering data and algorithms. AI is the new kingmaker here. I mean, an algorithm can approve a loan in seconds using thousands of data points, something that used to take a human being days to do.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to this warning from the Boston Consulting Group. It's pretty stark. They say that banks are at real risk of being left behind unless they make some bold changes, embrace digital assets, and find new ways to grow. What BCG calls synthetic scale,
which is just a fancy way of saying they need to grow through smart partnerships instead of trying to build everything in-house anymore. The message is crystal clear: adapt or become a relic.
Okay, so we've talked about these huge industry-level shifts, but let's bring it all back down to earth. What does this great unbundling actually mean for you, for your wallet, and for the way you handle your money every single day?
The big idea you really need to grasp here is something called embedded finance. It's the end game of this whole unbundling process. It's all about putting financial services right inside the apps and websites you already use, exactly when you need them. So you're booking a flight and boom, there's the travel insurance offer. You're at an online checkout and pop, there's the option to pay in installments. It's finance, but not at a bank.
See, the end game here isn't just about swapping out old banks for new tech companies. The real goal is to make finance almost disappear, to make it invisible, totally contextual, and just seamlessly woven into the background of your digital life. That, right there, is the future of money.
In all of this, it leaves us with one final and really provocative question. In this new world where finance is everywhere, who do you actually trust the most with your money? Is it still your bank? Is it the company that makes your phone? Or is it your government? The answer to that question, well, that's going to define the next chapter of finance.